the economy of Ghana has come under severe discussion over the past few months, especially when the 2022 budget was read in November 2021. Many indicated that the economy is in trouble. The economy is not in shape. Those who are managing the economy, that is the government, believe that the economy is in proper shape. In fact, they claim the economy is robust. In recent times, some revelations have come, some from government quarters, from the World Bank, especially the World Bank Country Director, Mr. Laporte, indicating that the economy of Ghana is in trouble. The finance minister indicated the economy of Ghana is just broke, and that they needed a yield levy in order to redirect the economy. Ghanaians indicated that the purpose of the yield levy was to raise more bonds, thereby increasing the difficulties surrounding the management of the economy of Ghana, especially interest payments. The government and the finance ministry said no. Recently, on the floor of Parliament, the roads minister reported that the main purpose of the yield levy was to be used as a collateral or to securitize for bonds, which means to borrow more. So after all, the purpose of the yield levy is just to, is meant to be a borrowing instrument. All these issues have become topical in Ghana. Few days ago, Professor Botchwey presented or gave a lecture at the University of Ghana where he made some observations and proffered some solutions to the economic woes of Ghana. At the same forum, the World Bank Country Director was present, and he made the point that some Ghanaian economists, experts, and watchers of the economy have made, but government refused to accept what they were saying. The World Bank Country Director indicated that the economy of Ghana was actually suffering from the symptoms that we have seen now long before COVID-19. Therefore, COVID-19 could not be the cause of the economic woes of Ghana. They may have contributed to the strength and deepening of the woes of the economy, but definitely COVID-19 and its related issues cannot be blamed to be the cause of the economic woes of Ghana. And that revelation was actually interesting for Ghanaians when they heard so. And that is why I want to briefly discuss some of the issues on the topic Ghana's economic woes. Should we go to IMF or not? Should we take the views of Professor Botchwey? Should we take the views of the World Bank Country Director? The question as to whether the Ghanaian economy is in tatters, is in difficulties, has symptoms of vulnerability, risk, and unattractive especially to the international capital market, is not an issue anymore, because the finance minister told us the economy is just broke. The finance minister told us at the whole engagement, town hall, that they are not acceptable at the international capital markets. And if they want to force their way, the cost of borrowing will be too alarming that they cannot bear. And what it means simply is that Ghana has exited itself from the international capital market because Ghana is not attractive. Ghana has been downgraded, and this thing is creating a lot of problem for Ghana in accessing debt capital internationally. And the result is that the government of Ghana has dominated so far in the domestic debt market. Implication is that while banks and financial institutions are required by the arrangement of financial intermediation to mobilize funds channeled to the private sector to engage in productive activity, government is now the main attraction for banks and other financial institutions, and very little is left for the private sector to access to engage in economic activity. And this situation is very bad for the economy of Ghana. Entrepreneurs have ideas to reform this country, but they have no funds. They cannot access to the funds they require to engage in economic activities. We have seen interest rates being difficult in terms of how much we are supposed to pay as budgeted for in the 2022 budget, around 37 billion Ghana cedis, more than what is available to pay to our workers in terms of wages and salaries, which we normally call compensation, which is around 30 billion, thereabouts. And the picture is we are just vulnerable. These are the expressions from the World Bank. These are just part of the expression from Professor Botchwey, and these are just the expression from those who are in government and decide now to speak the truth about the Ghanaian economy. So, is Ghana in economic woes? Answer is yes. Those who import to this country at the port complain about how depreciation of the currency is eating into their capital. Some have indicated that their capital have been eroded up to the tune of about 16%. That is one of the reasons why we have prices escalating across the country. Inflation has gone up after enjoying some short period of single digits to around 13.9%, with the projection that inflation will continue to surge up because we are now waiting for the pass-through effect of fuel price increases, LPG gas, LPG has also gone up, threatening domestic consumption of energy. All these things have a pass-through effect into price built up in the country. So we expect inflation to continue to go up. And this will undermine lower interest rates in the country because Bank of Ghana may be increasing the policy rate that will signal higher interest rate regime across board that will reflect on lending rates. So if you see this picture about the Ghanaian economy, you have only one conclusion to draw, that the Ghanaian economy is suffering from difficult bruises as a result of the way it has been managed over the period. So the Ghanaian economy indeed is in trouble. If you look at the growth per sector as put or published in the 2022 budget, it's very clear that we may be talking about some resumption of positive growth momentum for the economy, but it's not something that we can rejoice over. We need to do a lot to correct the growth direction, especially in these key three sectors of our economy. That is what we need to do. The growth picture is not as encouraging as we expect it to be. Now, if we look at the computation put in this table, it shows that if we look at our interest payment per total revenue, interest payment per total revenue, on average, if our total interest payment as a ratio of total revenue is around 20%, there is no serious threat. That threshold can be accommodated by the economy. But the moment we are going above that, we need to take strategies that will ensure that we come down into the zone that is accommodated. In 2015-2016, that was described as a problem time for the economy of Ghana because we were just resuming from the benefit of investment in the energy sector to quell the energy sector risk and challenges that we were experiencing. We were having interest payments as a ratio of total revenue of around 32%. In 2017, that went up to about 1.8% to 33.80%. In 2018, there was a marginal reduction because there was some arrangement at that time. We engaged in rebasing of our economy, etc. So we saw relatively downward trend from 2017, but in 2019, it went up again more than 5%, went up again more than 5% to 37%. And that shows that we have gone to a different trajectory altogether. So if you look at that from the table, you see 37% in 2019. And that tells you that our problems were there even in 2019. Our problem did not start with COVID-19. And this goes to confirm the point that the country director of the World Bank has made at the forum or at the lecture at Legon on Monday, 7th March 2022, as part of the Independence Public Lecture Series. Again, in 2020, it shot up to 44.6%. In 2021, it shot up again to 46.2%. That is the total revenue, which means at the end of 2021, the 57 billion Ghana cedis reported by the Ghana Revenue Authority, greater portion of that money goes into interest payment. If we consider interest payment to total revenue, to tax revenue, interest payment to tax revenue, the situation is even precarious. In 2016, we recorded 42%. In 2017, it went up to 43.1%. And in 2018, it went down to 40%, as I explained earlier on. So you see all the figures that we are dealing with in this table. In 2018, you see all of them moderated because of what I explained earlier on. But in 2019, again, the velocity of the movement was so fast, very high, from 40% to 45%. Now, which means all the tax revenue collected, 45% went into interest payment. And in 2020, it went up to 54.2%. Then in 2021, 57%, which means interest payment in 2021 has taken more than 50% of tax revenue that have been generated. Very little, less than 50% is left for other activities like compensation, capital expenditure, goods and services, amortization of principal of loans. This is the situation. And so it means that in 2021, the 57 billion tax revenue that was raised, 57% of that went into interest payment. Why do we get money to cater for compensation? Why do we get money to cater for amortization of principal of loans? Why do we get money to cater for capital expenditure? So this is the picture that the economy has actually provided. And the data is very clear. The data is actually drawn or extracted from IMF database and from our national budget from 2016 up to date. Interest payment as a ratio of total expenditure, the same picture, just increasing up to 2021. Interest payment as a ratio of export, which can be accommodated around 20%, but up to 2019, we recorded 24%, in 2020, 30%, and in 2021, 38.55%, almost 39%. So it means it is not accommodated. And what it means is we will need to work on our exports, and we will also need to work on our borrowing, because the interest payment comes as a result of excessive borrowing. The interest payment, external interest payment as a ratio of exports, again, that is also not speaking well for the economy of Ghana. If you put all these things together, it put pressure on the economy of Ghana. That is why we are in this situation. So these are all signs of vulnerability of the Ghanaian economy. They are signs of risk to the Ghanaian economy, and we need to do something. And all these pictures centered on one particular sector, that is the fiscal management of the economy. The fiscal management is very, very vulnerable, and we need to, and when the fiscal management is vulnerable, it dovetails into undermining monetary policy management, and monetary policy management will get to a point that it is not going to be efficacious and will not be able to deliver expected mandate. So, what is going on in the country where we are now looking at IMF and e-levy as mutually exclusive options. Is that how it's supposed to be? If your economy is suffering from all the pictures that I posted from the table on the debt burden of the country, is the issue about only IMF, only about e-levy? The first thing is that looking or capturing decision to go to IMF and decision to approve e-levy, which has been rejected by Ghanaians largely, is a wrong starting point. We shouldn't consider IMF and the e-levy as mutually exclusive options. That is to say, we shouldn't make the discussion look like either we go to IMF or we pass the e-levy, because Ghanaians are against the e-levy because the e-levy does not follow and does not mimic any principle of taxation. As soon as the government of Ghana is able to work on the e-levy to mimic the principles of taxation, Ghanaians will not give that level of resistance. And as long as the government is not ready to listen to the people of Ghana to ensure that the e-levy is designed to comply with the principles of taxation, many people will be uncomfortable when the e-levy is mentioned. So it is therefore inappropriate to peg the e-levy against IMF, such that if we don't pass the e-levy, then we must go to IMF. If you look at the table that we discussed, that is the table on interest payment burden, it shows that the interest payment burden is coming because the overborrowing. Because of the overborrowing. That is why. Then it also shows that our expenditure is just too high. That is why. So, why are we not talking about expenditure rationalization, prudent expenditure management as part of the options that should be put on the table against e-levy and against going to IMF? I believe that putting the entire discussion into two options, IMF and e-levy, is incorrect and must not be encouraged. We should put on the table drastic debt management measure that will reduce debt acquisition. We should put in place a mechanism that should monitor proper value and utilization of our debts. Those are the things that would deal directly with debt and would deal directly with interest payment and deal directly with expenditure. We need to rationalize expenditure. We need to engage in productive expenditure, and we need to focus on expenditure that makes sense to Ghanaians. We need not to engage in expenditure that is offensive to the thinking of Ghanaians and consider IMF and e-levy as mutually exclusive options for the Ghanaian economy. This is what I believe we should be doing. Well, the issue of going to IMF is a decision that the government of Ghana must take based on its own assessment. It should not be the citizen imposing it on the government of Ghana. And as of now, the government of Ghana is enjoying the discussion because the citizens have given the government of Ghana opportunity to choose between going to IMF or passing through whatever means to ensure that the e-levy is passed. And I believe that is not supposed to be the way forward. Now, Ghanaians are divided, whether they are experts in the area of economics, finance, etc., they are divided as to whether we should go to IMF. Some people, based on their experience in the past, believe that IMF should not be the option. And some people believe IMF should be the option. But the question is, anytime we sign on to the IMF program, do we see some signs? Yes, we have been seeing signs. Let's just focus on the just ended IMF program. We were experiencing inflation of around 19% before we engaged the IMF. There was volatility in the exchange rate regime. A lot of things were not going on well. Our policies were discredited. We were downgraded in some cases, and commentary about our economy from international financial experts were all negative, even though the country felt the best was being done to manage the energy sector crisis. But that was not the case. So the country went to IMF, and when the program started, we experienced some difficult decisions, and those difficult decisions should be seen within the context of prudence. Should be seen within the context of prudence. That is how I see those things. And we saw inflation started going down up to 15.4% at the end of 2016 from 19%. And that trajectory continued until we enter into a single-digit regime before the program ended. Again, we saw some stability within the exchange rate regime. That gives some form of planning to our business people who need foreign currency to transact their business. That is it. We saw credibility restore, confidence and acceptance of Ghanaian government of Ghana's program to restore the economy to a level that is acceptable. That was actually experienced. But again, as soon as we exited the IMF program, we started doing the wrong thing. So the question actually is it the fear of going to IMF or not? I think the issue is our inability to sustain prudent management and ensure that we are disciplined. That is our main problem. The problem we are facing now is as a result of fiscal indiscipline, is as a result of mismanagement, is as a result of not keeping to what is supposed to be done, especially for a government that exited IMF not quite long. So if you are to go to IMF, there are indicators that you need to see. Have you lost credibility? Are you experiencing hostile engagement with the international capital market? Does the e-levy has the capacity to restore that confidence that is lost? Does the e-levy have the capacity to restore the credibility that is lost? That is the question we need to answer. So the IMF becomes the last resort. The deficit we have already factored in it the e-levy. So with or without the e-levy, our vulnerability remains the same. With or without the e-levy, our lack of credibility, lack of confidence, which has now spread across among citizens, among key statesmen and women, and among international players who are interested in our economy. That is the situation. So we need to think whether we have gotten to a point that we need to tap into the last resort or not. And that decision should be the sole decision of the government. Having explained this thing, I will not go forward or further to proffer a solution by saying go to IMF or not go to IMF. There must be a reason. So if the government recognizes the colossal cost of lack of credibility, the colossal cost of lack of confidence in the policies we are churning out, in the things that we are doing, then government can take the decision that reflects its evaluation of the situation. I believe that is what will be my comment on the IMF and e-levy mutually exclusive option that we have given. I indicated that it should not be the case that we consider IMF and e-levy mutually exclusive. I discussed why some will recommend that Ghana should go to the IMF, mainly because they focus on lack of credibility, lack of confidence, even among Ghanaians. What is the comment of the World Bank? What is the comment of the World Bank? What is the comment of the World Bank? The World Bank simply said that, look, Ghanaians should not excessively blame COVID-19. COVID-19 came with some opportunities that we have misused. COVID-19 came with faster access to cheaper credit. The IMF gave out about $2 billion. And the $1 billion that was provided first is classified as a zero interest lending to Ghana and has a moratorium of about 5 years before we start the repayment. It's a long time that Ghana had that kind of facility because of our middle income status. So if we're able to get $1 billion within a short period of time without interest, and 5 years before we start paying or we pay, that is a good thing. We should have utilized that in a manner that resonates with the people and the international community, that we have actually managed our COVID-19 funds well. As it is, we are not able to account providing audited expenditure relating to COVID-19. And when we do that, it means that we are unwilling to allow transparency to work. We are unwilling to engage in disclosures. We are unwilling to ensure that we are responsible for the utilization of a fund that we need to account to the people of Ghana and indirectly to the international community that supported us to raise those funds. So the inability to audit the COVID-19 expenditure during the period is actually going to be an albatross on the neck of the economy. It actually closed the trust gap, so there is now trust deficit as to whether we have done the right thing or not. And I believe we need to work assiduously to correct this by doing the right thing. The World Bank is saying that, look, if you misdiagnose your problem, you cannot solve it. Accept that the mismanagement, the overborrowing, the indiscipline started long before COVID-19. Then you can go back and start a process of evaluating what did we do before 2019, what did we do in 2019, and how did we manage the funds that were given to us that have resulted into this problem. So this is what the IMF is saying, that your problem as a country did not start in 2020. It started long before the 2020. So if you want to go back to the track of proper economic management, don't look at only COVID-19. Look back before COVID-19 and you will get solution for the economy. The World Bank also indicated, be transparent to your people. It means that debt management transparency has been lacking. Expenditure transparency has been lacking. Project management transparency has been lacking. And these are the things that we can put together and say corruption. So all that the World Bank is saying in this guide is that there have been corruption. There is opaqueness of economic management. There is opaqueness of data management. There is opaqueness of public finances. When you are able to go into the light and ensure that what you did is known, is clear, you will be on the path of restoring the economy. But without that, you will not be able to get out of this problem. And that is how come some people think that the government of Ghana need external institutions such as the IMF to put pressure, to ensure discipline, to be able to do that. But the government of Ghana has a responsibility to assess all these things and take a firm decision in the interest of the economy, in the interest of the people of Ghana. Did Professor Botchwey make some revealing comments? Oh yes. He said that improper debt management, especially when your debt management or your debt portfolio is such that a chunk of that debt stock comes from commercial sources, then you will need to take the issue of sinking fund seriously, because it is a sinking fund that you use to manage the debt when it matures. And when the sinking fund is rolling, is being managed, is active, then it shows an indication of willingness of the government to manage its debt properly, and it gives assurance to the lenders, to the economy. But we put up a sinking fund, and this sinking fund was able to support the retirement or the amortization of the principal of the 2007 Eurobond, which was $750 million in April 2017, because it was a 10-year bond. So that should tell us that because we were able to manage a sinking fund, it helped to amortize the loan with some ease or less pressure on the government at that time. And that lesson must be carried through. We need to sustain that to ensure that we continue to service the sinking fund. So it will give indication, signal to our lenders that we are serious people who are serious about managing our debt with the appropriate instrument. And that is what we're supposed to be doing. This is the comment that he made. And I believe it's a comment that sits properly within public financial management. And that I believe we need to take seriously. An economy must thrive on a buffer or buffer. Sinking fund provide buffer to debt management, but we have left that buffer and we need to pay attention to that. I also heard Professor Botchwey make comment to the effect that you need to be honest to your people about the economic management. You need to be honest. The economy is for the people, and the processes of managing the economy must be transparently reported to the people. And that is lacking right now. Arrogance is so high. When Ghanaians complain about the economic management, then some people in government respond with the list and the pedigree of the people in the economic management team as a response to the complaints of Ghanaians. That is arrogance. That is not discussing with your people. And those things must stop. Unnecessary comparison. When people are suffering, they are complaining about hardship. The response is the economy is better now than before. The economy is growing better than before. Who says Ghanaians don't know the economic numbers before they are complaining? They are talking about the reality of their lives, and that is what we should be addressing. Anything less means that we don't care about the people. So he talked about truth, he talked about honesty, he talked about transparency, he talks about disclosure. And these are very, very important requirements if we are to get out of these woes we find ourselves through inappropriate measures that we have taken in terms of our finances. So these are the very important things that Professor Botchwey said, and I believe this is very, very important. Well, if you look at the strength and the weight of the statement made by the World Bank Country Director, you look at it that this is an institution that works closely with government numbers. They know the data about the economic management of Ghana. They have provided some support to Ghana, and they understand. And if they speak about the economy in this way, it is something that we need to take seriously. Professor Botchwey, one of the long-standing finance ministers, he has managed crisis before. He has taken Ghana to IMF before. He took Ghana out of IMF. He has watched the economy being managed by various finance ministers and various governments. He reflected on the issues and he spoke as a statesman. I believe we need to place some weight, heavy weight, on the statement that he has made. And that should form part of the ways of recovering. And without that, I believe we will not go far. So I have placed premium on the statement he made about the sinking fund. I have put premium on the fact that we need to watch our expenses, drive our expenses towards productive expenditure. I listened to his statement about the honesty that is needed by those who are governing us. And these are the things we need at this critical time. So, does the government have responsibility? Oh, yes. You want to go to IMF, it should be your responsibility. You should do an evaluation of the situation. You should come to the conclusion that this is the time I need to go to IMF. It should not be as if people are telling you to go to IMF. I will not discuss this issue from that context. So, to conclude my discussion, I agree that the economy of Ghana is in trouble. We are in deep debt distress. We are vulnerable. We are downgraded. And we have gotten to a point where government is competing with the private sector for the finances that should come from our banks and our financial institutions. We need to correct these things. So I want to thank you for listening to me on the discussion regarding the woes of the Ghanaian economy and the critical comment that two personalities have made about the economy of Ghana that we should take seriously. Thank you for listening.